So CTO skills that are basically required include technical knowledge, definitely. So it says that a minimum of 10 plus years of experience is required. Leadership role, it is important because you have to manage people under you. You have to accomplish the goals that are set, and you have to make sure that the entire team moves together. So while we are talking about all of these, we need to understand that the IT field is continuously changing. You cannot stay stuck with just one piece of information in your hand. You need to keep upgrading yourself. Learning is something that is lifelong, that happens lifelong, and you need to pick up instances from everywhere that you can learn. Your communication skills should be perfect. You need to know when, what, why, where, and how. This is precisely how you have to strategize. The strategic planning and the technological resources as to what is needed, how to create it, whether to go for researching for it, or to go developing, or to buy or purchase it. Project management, when you have to see the overall work, overall flow of work, design stable processes, and build the best practices as well as methodologies. Operational excellence, when we are talking about the optimization of operations by enabling agility, security, as well as reliance within the ecosystem. And definitely a sense of entrepreneurship. You are a CEO, and when you're hiring a CTO, the sense of entrepreneurship should be double. So when we are talking about all these things, let's understand how CTOs around the world have established themselves over the years. Can you name a few famous CTOs if you remember any? Think about it. No? Okay. And when we are talking about CTOs, let's see from the world who are the famous CTOs. So when I'm talking about the CTOs from the world, there are major people. You might have heard about a few, you might have not heard about a few. Like, first of all, we have David Hansen. He's the creator of Ruby on Rails and founder and CTO at Basecamp. Yes, this application was just learned by you. We have Mark Rusenwojcik, who's the CTO at Microsoft. We have, next we have Ruben Spruget, who is the CTO at Frame, again, Microsoft MVP. We have Gary M. Flinger, who is the CTO at Starbucks. We have Greg Brockman, who's the former CTO of Stripe and co-founder and CTO of OpenAI. There are multiple people and there are multiple things to ideally learn from them. There are people who are CTOs who define themselves as entrepreneurs as well as hackers. So there are people who also tell that, that they've been named and labeled as godfathers of technology, because these are the people who led to the innovation and development of the billion-dollar startups. Do you want to read more about them? You can definitely go and type and search about them on Google. When we are talking about startups, and especially those startups that began with a very basic amount, companies like Uber, Airbnb, Pinterest, Snapchat, Dropbox, Spotify, Square, Stripe, etc. These are big companies now. If I talk about Snapchat, the CTO Bobby Murphy, he is a person to ideally look up to. And when we are talking about the foundation experience during the initial phase of his life, that's 18 to 22 years, he's known to have studied from Stanford University, and along with a few of his colleagues and friends, in 2011, he founded Snapchat. Age is just a number, as I've told you. We're talking about mentorship and coaching. So here, this person needs to mentor as well as coach all the people in his team. His responsibility is to look after them. He should be involved, or she should be involved in giving proper feedback and even retaining the customers as well as the people in his team. Future anticipation, wherein this person needs to look ahead and plan and forecast as to what is going to happen in near future. Because as we know, the technological growth is never stopping. Let's understand a few tools that we're going to use here in the CTO course and why are they important for us. The very first one that comes here is a wireframe. What are wireframes? Have you heard about them before? Yes, you definitely must have heard about them. So when we are talking about wireframes, we are talking about creation and design of wireframes. So wireframes are basically the designing softwares. These are websites that give you an opportunity to design something in original form. So when we are talking about the UX designing, when we are talking about wireframing, these are architectural blueprints and these are two-dimensional structures, the outline of a web page or your application, and wireframes provide a clear overview of the page, the structure, the layout, the informational guide it is called. So why do we use them and where do we use them? So while we are talking about all of this, wireframes usually represent the initial product concept. Its styling, its color, the graphics, they're kept to a minimum. Wireframes can be drawn either by hand on a pen or paper, or they can be created digitally. All this depends on how much detailing is required. So wireframing is a practice that is most common by UX designers. Absolutely. This process allows all stakeholders to agree on whether the information will be placed before the development of the entire project. Where do we place what piece? So what is the ideal purpose behind doing this? So we take feedbacks from the users, we investigate and involve them into conversations, and especially the stakeholders who are the decision makers, they help us generate better ideas and better designs through this. Conducting a user testing during the early wireframing stage ideally allows us, that is the designers, to harbor honest feedbacks and identify the key areas that are going to be the pain areas. So it helps us establish and develop the product concept very clearly. Wireframing is a perfect way that we use, for the designers to gauge how the user would interact with the interface and how the interface would look like. These insights help the designer to understand what feels intuitive for the user and create products that are comfortable and easy to use. While we are communicating our ideas to clients, they may have technical lexicon and a few of them might not have it as well. So let's understand how wireframe works and what is this designing all about. Have a close look at the video and enjoy it. You can build your own wireframe now using Mockflow. Log on to the link given here, create your ID. It's going to ask for a Google sign up quickly, and it's free only for the first 3 trials. You can have your own trials, build, create, develop. It's your world.